Hi, my name is Bob Taylor, and I'm your host for this segment of Our Ventura TV. I'm here today with my guest, Sharon Clark, and we're here today to talk about Carl. Sharon, what is Carl?
Carl is Canine Adoption and Rescue League. We're an all-breed, no-kill dog rescue serving Ventura County.
Okay, so how does that make you different from like Humane Society?
Humane Society serves all kinds of animals.
Okay.
We only serve dogs. Humane Society has some breed limitations in which dogs they can serve.
Right.
We will serve all breeds. So there's some differences that way. Humane Society also has a responsibility to investigate cases of animal neglect or abuse.
Where you could just take the dog, keep your mouth shut, and adopt it out. If you thought somebody dropped one off that was abusing a dog or something, you can just take the dog and nourish it.
Well, the owner needs to relinquish it to us.
Right, the owner relinquishes it.
Yeah.
You're not going to check up on what they did and go after them.
No.
You're just happy that they
We're trying to
relinquished
help
the
the dog. That's our mission. Help the dog to prevent the needless killing of companion animals. And we try and do that through our adoption, education, and outreach. And really, adoption is our biggest activity that people will see us in the community serving.
Right. So do you adopt out, do you have your own dogs you adopt out, or do you get dogs from other humane societies or other rescues to adopt out?
Yeah, we get dogs. Owners turn in our dogs, most turn in their dogs to us. Most often that's because they've lost their housing.
Right.
That's divorce, loss of a job, restrictions. Somebody new buys the apartment complex and changes, now you can't have big dogs, something like that. We take strays. That's where someone finds a dog. They have to hold it for 30 days and advertise so the owner can find it. And after that, we can put it up for adoption.
You know, what about the dogs that, the troubled dogs that people say, like pit bulls, those kind of things? I mean, I've had a pit bull and I just love them. They're the most loving dogs in the world, but they do have that stigma.
Right.
How do you, are you able to just keep one of those and adopt it back out?
Yes.
Without any problem? There's no problem in Ventura County about adopting out a pit bull?
We do adopt out pit bulls. We do find that a cute little poodle gets adopted much more quickly than a cute pit bull.
Right.
So there's differences in what the community is looking for. There are many discriminatory parts to rental, housing, insurances that won't cover pits or Rottweilers or Shepherds, so there are more difficulties. But yeah, people, especially people who know pits or have known someone with a pit, understand they're a great dog.
Right, they really are. They're the most loving dog. We had a pit bull. It was the most loving dog we ever had.
Yeah.
So that's really true.
And great personality.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but you have enough of your own dogs that, do you have more turned in than get adopted out?
You know, the amazing thing, which I guess it makes sense, but if we, over the course of a year, take in 90 dogs, if you look at the stats, we'll adopt out 90 dogs.
Oh,
so I think, and if it's 60, it's 60, or thereabouts. I think it's like we can only handle so many dogs between our foster homes and our sanctuary, so we can take dogs in as an opening comes. So there are many more dogs out there than we can serve, but we take in as many as we can.
So you get to a point where you eventually have to say to some people, I'm sorry, we're full, we can't take your dog.
Right, what we say is the dog needs a place to live. If the dog can stay with you and show with us for adoption, or if a friend can foster it, we can take that dog.
So you can still work on the adoption, sometimes you just can't take the dog. So you're limited how many dogs you can physically
hang on to, yeah.
So what would you say is needed most for you to double what you're doing? The dogs are there for you to double what you're doing.
Absolutely.
What you're doing.
Absolutely.
What would it take for you to do that? More land, more people, more dollars, more?
More foster homes. Foster homes are the very best place for a dog to be waiting for adoption.
Okay.
A foster home, then the people can tell us, oh, this dog is housebroken, this dog is a couch potato, this dog is a maniac, he runs around
dogs are just like people, aren't they?
Yeah.
What you say is a couch potato.
Yeah.
You're saying that just like my husband's a couch potato.
Yeah. That's right, yeah. So if we had more foster homes, we could take in more dogs. If we had more money, we could house more dogs at our sanctuary, but it costs us about $10 a day per dog. So financially, we're limited. How much money can we raise to support the dogs in the sanctuary?
And then if you raise more money, you'd have to have more property. So it's kind of a catch-22.
Well, we're good on the property. Our sanctuary could house 220 animals.
Okay, now, I hear about fostering dogs, but I hear that from all kinds of different dog rescues, not just yourself. Do the people that foster dogs, do they foster just for you, or do they foster for other dog sanctuary people too?
Almost always a foster will get connected with a group. And if they're happy with how that group works with them and their fosters, they stay loyal to them. Because when they get a dog adopted, that group's calling them, hey, I got another dog for you.
You got plenty of dogs for
Yeah, because there's always a dog looking for a
home.
So
how many foster families do you have?
We have right around 20 foster families.
So you could very easily use 40.
Oh, absolutely.
You hear that, public?
Yeah.
You hear that? We'll give you some info later.
That's right.
Again, if somebody wants to foster a dog, we're going to ask for this again later when people have pens or pencils. But if somebody wanted to foster a dog, how would they do that? How would they find you?
If they go on our website, Carl Dogs, CarlDogs.org.
So if they would just Google Carl Dogs, they'd find you.
They'd find us. And if you foster, we provide the food, we provide the medical care, you provide the dog the loving home. And then bring it to adoptions on the weekend. If it's a big dog, once a month, bring the dog. And really, you're providing the substitute family, socializing, letting that dog know it's okay to trust people and be dependent on you.
So now here's kind of maybe a word question, but do you have fosters that end up loving their dogs and not being able to get rid of them?
Yes, that's well known among all the rescues. That's foster failure.
Okay, now, yes, but isn't that also foster success to a
Oh,
certain
absolutely,
extent?
absolutely.
But then you could lose the foster family to
Yes.
the dog, and then you got to get a new foster family.
That's why we call it failure, but for the dog, it's a success.
That's just such a heartwarming situation when it happens.
Yeah.
But it's also a sad situation because that's more dogs that they can't possibly do something with or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long can you keep a dog that you can't adopt out?
We keep them for life. Our commitment to the dog is you're in our program, we will care for you for the rest of your life. If you get adopted and something happens in that situation, we will always take you back. We want to take you back. If your family can work something out for you that's satisfactory, great. But you're always going to be able to depend on us to be there.
Some of that stuff you say, it's not things I haven't heard from other people, but you can tell by the look in your eye and your passion that you have a commitment to that dog.
Absolutely.
Not to the dog's family, not to the dog's people.
Correct.
But your commitment is to that dog,
That's
so
right.
that dog will know he will always be okay.
Yes.
You know, once you adopt a dog out, how often does the adoption not work?
It's not that often. I would say, there's two different ways it doesn't work. To just not work, it doesn't happen very often. Maybe not even 5% of the time.
Okay, so it's very, very seldom.
When we're doing the adoption, first of all, the people make an application, meet the dog, make an application. We do a home visit, and the adoption is generally the following weekend. So it's not that uncommon that they fill out an application Saturday. Monday they call and say, we thought about it. We fell in love with that dog, but really, we're not ready for a dog.
Right.
If they had been able to take that dog Saturday, we'd have a much higher rate of failure. Just because dogs are so cute,
Yes,
and you
they
get
are.
caught up with them.
Right.
And then you say, wait a minute.
It's like that 3-day thing that you get for
Exactly.
backing out of a car or something.
Exactly, it's the same thing.
Right.
So they don't get returned like that. Now we have, somebody dies, somebody becomes unable to care for the dog. We don't really call those failures.
No, you
They're
don't. That's
returns.
extenuating
They've had the
circumstances,
dog. They've
right.
loved the dog. They would
Right.
not give up the dog if they could help it.
And I guess as much as you put into it, you're not going to find out a little bit later that their 2-year-old is getting bit by the dog or the dog's scaring the 2-year-old, because you would know that before the dog went in.
Well, not really. Like I remember one dog I can think of who I have adopted now, but she's a Brazilian Mastiff, which is a big dog.
Huge dog.
Yeah, but a sweetheart. So she was adopted by a family, a couple. They had another dog. They all lived happily ever after, and then they had a baby. So by the time the baby was 18 months, 2 years old, now the baby's up, standing at the coffee table, banging on things, and the dog gives her a correction by hitting her with, like she would a puppy.
Right, right.
It'd be okay for a puppy. It's not okay when it's your baby.
The puppy means it very sincerely or doing the right thing.
Yeah. So that's the kind of case where, no, we didn't anticipate that would be a problem. They didn't anticipate
Right, well,
it.
they didn't have the baby at the time.
Exactly.
But it's not like you're going to adopt one out and then they're going to find out a month later that the dog's not good with their child, because you would already know that ahead of
Right,
time.
we'd have them visiting. Yeah.
Right, so they'd already be in, they'd already know that. Okay.
Right.
Now, how does that compare with other rescues? Do you find your percentage less than others?
You know, I don't know others. The only difference I know is some rescues you can adopt that day. So I think they would be more likely to have that 3-day, I've thought it over again. But I think most rescues in Ventura County have the same, just about the same criteria we do of wanting to make sure you have a home where the dog will be safe and that you have the ability to care for it. So I would think they'd probably be close to the same. I know the rescues that, like the shelter, where they don't, in general, do home checks. You come in and you get the dog and you can go that day.
Right.
But people are going there to get a dog,
right,
so they've got an initial commitment. Most, I would expect they would maybe have a higher volume of adoptions.
Right.
Of course, they get a lot more dogs too, but they have a higher volume and maybe a little higher percentage of returns.
Just because of the way they operate.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, your organization is mostly volunteer.
Yes.
Okay. And how many volunteers? You just say 100. Let's just say 100 dogs a year, just to make it even. Mm-hmm. How many volunteers does it take for you to bring in and adopt out about 100 volunteers a year? And I guess the foster families are volunteers.
Yeah, they're volunteers
too. They're volunteers
That's
too.
right. That's right. Yeah. So we run at about 430, 440 volunteers.
That is great.
It's great, and it's not enough, because you may volunteer, but you may be able to volunteer one Saturday a month at an adoption event.
Right.
So
you need people almost every day.
I count you in my 400, but I'm not getting 400 days out of you.
Right.
Which you're a volunteer. I'll give you a break.
Right. But you have to volunteer or you lose them.
Because we have our volunteers go out to the kennel, they walk the dogs, they put the dogs into play groups so that they're able to act like dogs in a pack. And we can say to people, hey, this dog really likes dogs, or this dog, give or take.
Hey, believe it or not, our time's about over.
No.
I want to go over again how people get a hold of you. It's carldogs.com or
org.org.
carldogs.org. Is there any phone number that associates with it, or should they just go to the web?
The web is good, but our phone number is 805-644-7387.
So it's 644-7387.
And I'd really encourage people, on our website you can find out about our new volunteer orientation. Come to an orientation and see. We get about half the people who contact us about being a volunteer actually go to orientation, and of those, a smaller percentage actually volunteers, which we think is good.
Right.
You need to know what we do.
Yes.
So come to orientation,
And
find out what we do.
Get your chance to back out then if you want to.
Yeah, and if you say, hey, that's interesting, but not for me, so what? You know more about us, and we appreciate your coming.
Thank you very much for being with us, Sharon.
It's my pleasure.
Well, my name is Bob Taylor. I've been your host for this segment of Our Ventura TV. I've been here today with my guest, Sharon Clark. We've been talking about the Canine Adoption and Rescue League. Until next time, thank you very much.